Good evening, everybody. My name is Bonnie McBryan. I own the Eagle Harbor Inn, along with my husband, John, who's in the back row here. We live at 291 Madison Avenue South. I want to speak this evening about the Kitsap Sun's article and the resignation of our city manager, Doug Schultz. Like many others, though, I'm pretty concerned that Doug's resignation came, at least in part, because of a council member behaving as a bully. I don't want to be mean-spirited here, but it seems that somebody from the public needs to stand up and address this issue. There are a lot of adjectives, a lot of different adjectives that have been applied to Ron's comments and behavior here on City Council, in his written responses to members of the community, at public hearings, etc. But now the call has been made about bullying tactics. It's up to you as our elected officials to really dig into this allegation. You need to look at public opinion. You need to look at social media and the stories, the anecdotes that people are posting there. You need to read Ron's messages, both to his followers and to those with whom he disagrees. You need to assess this.
I appreciate all you're saying. We just have some kind of rules about courtesy and stuff in the room, and this is a tough one. I just try to tread away from personal attacks on any council members if you can. So, I
am asking you to assess whether your council members, your fellow council members' words and his actions are simple breaches of etiquette or of ethics. I do want to add another concern to your considerations. You probably recall that my husband and I have been trying to build on our property on Madison Avenue South. A few months ago, Mr. Pelter announced at a council meeting that he has instructed city advisory committees to tighten the review process for building approvals. That means that the committee he works with has added conditions to our building and to others. For example, Bay Hay and Feed was just told that they cannot put brick on the exterior of their building. They have to follow the directions of this committee and use wood. Thank you.
Thank you. I can see you probably have more you want to say. I'd encourage you to feel free to share that with us over email.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
I'd request to be able to respond to that.
Yep, I think I need to give you that.
I think if you're going to make accusations, if anybody wants to make accusations, I think they need to substantiate those. Give an example. You claim that I directed a committee to impose conditions on somebody. That's absolutely false. If you're going to make accusations, you need to substantiate those, be specific. Getting up here and making general accusations about things I've said and done.
Okay.
My request is that your fellow council members consider whether your behavior is ethical or not.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you standing up and making those remarks. I know it's not easy.
It's not easy.
I understand. So thank you.
Intimidation is pretty, it's pretty sad.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to make any public comments right now?
Can I just ask a quick question to the city clerk? Are we putting the timing up on the screen for speaking?
Anything for the good of the order?
Yes, I have something for the good of the order. At the beginning of the meeting, Bonnie McBryan got up and attacked me. She lied about things. I think she felt permitted to do that by the city manager's comments in the Sun article, in which he labeled me as a bully and the reason that he has resigned. To have one of the most prominent people in the city basically make a slur towards a council member without any details as to what it means is to me, in my mind, gave permission to somebody like Bonnie McBryan to get up and lie about me. And I want to explain to you what she said. She said that I I put conditions on the Rolling Bay remodel that they can't use bricks on their new building. That's a total lie, and she knows it. But she felt empowered that she could get away with lying about me. What really happened in that meeting, and I don't influence the conditions that are put on or the recommendations that the committee or the board, design review board, makes for projects. The chair said that he didn't like the idea of bricks because it wasn't consistent with the rest of the architecture there. It wasn't a mandatory requirement. And in fact, Howie Block, who was there at the meeting, was fine with it because it would save him money. I had nothing to do with it. The second one was that I had placed conditions on her project down here on South Madison. That's an absolute lie, and Bonnie knows it. She's just personally attacking me. She doesn't like me. We have a history that goes back a ways, and I feel that she felt empowered to attack me because she saw the most prominent person in the city attack me and blame me for the fact that he's resigning, and then also saw his wife posting on Facebook. So I just want to put you all on notice that I'm considering filing an ethics complaint with the ICMA, because I feel that the city manager has violated the code of ethics for the ICMA, and I'm not going to tolerate being attacked. I mean, have you ever seen that happen to somebody where they're attacked and have lies told about them at the beginning of a meeting? Really, Joe? Have you had lies told about you? I don't think so. So I'm kind of pissed off, and I'm not going to just take it and let people lie about me.
I appreciate you speaking up, and I probably could have handled that better. I wasn't quite sure how to handle it when she started speaking, and I apologize if I could have handled it better and I didn't. I felt like I could tell her that she couldn't make any sort of personal attacks, where the line is between a personal attack and her recitation of facts that you tell us are a lie, and I don't know how to draw that line.
She wouldn't have done that unless she felt like she had permission to do it.
I'm just trying to tell you that if anyone here thinks I should have handled that in a better way, please let me know.
I don't think you really could have done anything, Cole. I think you did fine. I'm not blaming you.
Good evening, everybody. I will ask you to put your tomatoes away. My name is Bonnie McBryan, and I submitted one of the complaints this evening that's being discussed this evening. Some of you are wondering how we got here tonight. Nobody wonders that more deeply than do I. We got here because I was advised and counseled by city council members to file a complaint. I was advised to do that so that the ethics issues would be discussed. I was not told that this would ever come to city council. I was not told that this would ever leave the Ethics Commission. I think this is a sham, ladies and gentlemen. I think you are showing incredible disrespect for the two people who submitted ethics complaints. This has become a show of support for a single council person. This isn't about recalling him. We're not campaigning against him. We have pointed out situations that have been incredibly hurtful. You receive death threats? I do. Are you called a liar every day on Twitter? I am. My business is affected. My reputation in this community is affected. Why? Because at last August, Mr. Pelcher called me a liar 8 times in a 4-minute tirade against me. Why? Because I quoted a front page article that said he was a bully. I didn't say that. The front page article said that, and it quoted a former city manager. I came to that meeting because I felt pretty devastated. We were losing a city manager that I had worked with, a city manager that was excellent as far as I'm concerned. I've worked in the public sector for 30 years.
You're at your 2 minutes, Bonnie.
I'm sorry. I am requesting additional time.
You're about 2.5 minutes now, so I said I'd go up to 3, so you have a few more seconds.
You gave Mr. Pelcher a lot of time. You also gave this group an incredible amount of time, allowing a dozen of them to speak twice. I request an opportunity to express myself.
Council members, how do you feel about that?
I'm fine with her continuing.
Okay, go ahead.
I came to that meeting in August because Mr. Pelcher had been called a bully. I didn't originate that. I quoted it being said by other people. Now, I reviewed my comments. I'm like that. I went back and I looked at that tape. I looked at everything that's been written by me and by Mr. Pelcher. I sounded pretty righteous. And I think that came because, not out of anger, but more out of sadness that our city official, our highest city official, felt he was being driven out of this community. I was frustrated about the implications of that charge, the possible consequences for city staff, for council colleagues, and for citizens like me who just wanted to stand up and say something. Those allegations weren't mine. I simply quoted them. So I appeared righteous, but you know what? I did not lie. I do not lie. I worked in the public sector for 30 years. I take every ethics issue to heart. That was my lifestyle. Those are my principles. I do not lie. Mr. Pelcher took my statement and twisted it into something that I didn't even recognize. I do not lie. I was going to let all that go because I understood that by making comments about bullying, he would be upset. That makes sense. But 2 days later, I started getting copies of the letters he was sending out to people. Many of you got them, where he called me vindictive, mean-spirited, dishonest, and that's the way he's characterized me. Folks, he sent out 150 letters and asked everybody to send it out to other people.
Bonnie, I think I really need you to wrap up. Do you have much more? Are you almost there?
I'm going to skip to the end, thank you. I'm sure you're all wondering why I pursued this. Multiple reasons. I was concerned about allegations that were being made. I was encouraged to file this. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I certainly didn't expect an evening where 50 people would stand up and talk about how wonderful Mr. Pelcher is. The only avenue open to me to reclaim myself is through the ethics process. The only way for me to say that defamation and character assassination by a council person, any one of you, by any council person, this is the way I say those things don't belong in this community, especially from somebody that we all hold in high regard. And folks, I hold Ron Pelcher in high regard.
Thank you.
If you all looked at my documentation, if you realized he was blaming me for the Wyatt development, literally saying, and I can read that letter too, the one that says,
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry,
we could have stopped this.
Thank you.